Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody.
You learn in life can't help you when you're old. She's got the cushion for the pushing and loves the truth. When she's talking to me, I know she's looking at you. She says there is no other, no need to question why. She's always on the phone to another guy. Okay, slowly. This is gonna hurt a little bit. This is gonna hurt a little bit. God's on the line and my life's on hold. Don't believe what people say, 'cause their lives are all the same. God's on the line and my life's on hold. When you think that something's up, better watch out for the train.
Everybody. We have one co-host on the line. Don will be joining us soon, and possibly Ben. There are two topics tonight that I'm briefly going to discuss. The first one is America's delusion of a secular government. It is not a theocracy. And the second topic is a review of the last 20 years of immigration laws that brought us into the recent conflict with the separation of families. I did not explore the I heard Trump made an announcement tonight on who he's going to nominate for the Supreme Court. I didn't hear the news. We might cover that later. John Jay, Alexander Hamilton, and James Madison wrote the Federalist Papers. Right now, I just want to highlight Federalist Paper number 10. Critics of the Constitution had argued that a proposed federal government was too large and it would be unresponsive to the people. In response to that comment or ideology, Madison explored majority rule versus minority rights. In his essay, he countered that it was actually exactly the great number of factions and diversity that would avoid tyranny. Groups would be forced to negotiate and compromise among themselves, arriving at solutions that would respect the rights of minorities. Further, he argued that the large size of the country would actually make it more difficult for factions to gain controls over others. The influence of factious leaders may kindle a fire within their particular states, but will be unable to spread a general conflagration through the other states. So I'm going to take two examples out of this briefly. And I also am going to discuss the immigration laws once Don gets on the line. But one example I have is the Mormons. They started out in Illinois, and then they moved westward into Utah, and not until they had food and land, they had food and cattle resources that were starting to dwindle, and also they were sharing land with the Native Americans, did they start preying on other people. The reason I mention that is because the Mormons were outright rejected by some mainstream Christians, as can easily be understood, with Joseph Smith's vision and his vision to try to add to the Bible. But the Mormons did survive, and yes, they did kill Indians in Utah, but the fact of the matter is that I'd say 75% of Utah is settled by Mormons now. Now, the reason I bring that up is because I was watching a video this week on Subculture, and they were talking about how culture is not just people of the same origin and language. This lady, a sociologist, was saying you could be from the same country and speak the same language, but not embrace all the same things from the same culture. What I was using when I was saying the Mormons was an example is they could have easily been wiped out in the same way that they were trying to wipe out the Indians. Mormonism was not really accepted at all in its origins in Illinois. They could have been ostracized, kicked out of the community, maybe not sold land, people may not have frequented their businesses. But because we live in America, and that Federalist paper excerpt I just was reading from, the fact is that when there's so many factions, not one has a dominance over the other. Now, the second ideology I was going to bring up is maybe like we see today some of the Trump supporters are adamant in their certain belief systems. Like they don't want certain foreigners in. I just had a 2-day argument with somebody on Facebook about I was trying to express to him what the Federalist Papers were and how they were trying to avoid mob rule. And he mistook everything I said and tried to make it into a liberal Republican, he said, she said, they're to blame type of thing. And then he went on this big, I guess you want to call it a soapbox about abortion rights. Now, like I said, Don didn't hear yet, the title of the show is America's Delusion of Secular Government. It is not a theocracy. any Christian, any Mormon, any Jew, any Muslim can project their moral belief system onto the government, but it doesn't mean that the laws or the lawmakers, the Congress or the Supreme Court are going to cave in, and just because you think abortion is murder, they're not going to change the law, because the law protects minority factions. And in this case with abortion, they protect women who want the right to choose whether to keep the pregnancy or end the pregnancy. Now, abortion is like a hot potato. I don't really want to touch it. But I'm using that as an example because what this Christian man, Eric, is doing on my Facebook page is trying to impose his will on others. He's not a woman. He's never been accidentally knocked up by another man. He doesn't even pay child support for his own kid. He pays through his disability. And one time he got overpaid with his part-time job. His disability got cut off, and the ex-wife didn't get the disability, and she tore him a you-know-what because she didn't get her child support. And he's going off on all these sounding boards about abortion when he pays for child support through his disability. And I just think that people who take really strong moral stances better watch their back, because we all have things in our past that we're ashamed of. Nobody's perfect, and there are women who have aborted children because either the man ditched or they couldn't afford the baby. It doesn't make it right, but when people try to project their social viewpoint onto the government, there's the old adage saying that you cannot legislate morality. So I want you to get it straight, America. The Federalist Papers lay out specifically why church and state are separated. And you can have your passions, but it doesn't mean the law is going to coincide with your beliefs. With that, I'm going to say hi to Wade, who's been on hold 10 minutes, and then Don, who's been on hold 5 minutes. Good evening, Wade.
Hey, good evening, Jane.
I didn't get into the 3 decades. There were 3 laws between 97 and 2008 regarding immigration that led. I'm not going to get into the immigration until the second 30 minutes of the show. But what did you think of my introduction?
Pretty interesting, yeah. And I think, I don't totally agree with what they said in the. I'm more with the anti-federalist.
Federalist
because I think where they got it wrong. I think if you have more localized authority, it's harder. It's harder for a group to take power. Because
they did say that. I only have a snippet of the whole paper, but it says the influence of factious leaders may kindle a flame within their particular states, but will unable to spread it. What they were worried about is the government, if it was only dominant through the federal government, then the federal government might not be able to put out fires in little state in certain regions where there was a lot of fractious fighting. But let's just take an example, okay? Trump came here a couple weeks ago. It cost the city of Duluth $90,000. There were protesters, and there was also a mass amount of Trump supporters. Now, let's just say those two groups got into a fist fight, like in an Antifa way. Like, there's this radical group in Europe where they turn over cars, they burn down, like they knocked over like some construction in Munich, Germany. Like, let's just say the local police or the people that they borrowed some police from the neighboring city, they couldn't control them. That's just like one incident, but what if these type of conflagrations appeared over several times? Who do you think should try to control it? The local people or the feds?
Well, people can bond together. Like, let's say that there was no Fed. Well, if there was no Fed, we would basically be like several small countries, which is like what the case has been for many, many years in Europe. And so, so it would be the local people that would handle it. But that doesn't mean that if people from other states feel like, hey, this concerns us too, let's go down there and help put this out. Let's help out, and the local authorities can ask for help from the other authorities.
Okay, well, yeah, and plus, like, most of the time, people's fighting a lot of the fighting is just verbal on social media, but the hatred keeps increasing. Like, I saw a post Don, I'm going to bring in exactly 60 seconds, so I'm not ignoring you. I saw on Facebook today there's a radio host in L.A. called Joe Crummy. I think he works on the same station as Doug McIntyre, and John Phillips used to work on that station, and Larry Elder. Anyways, so he posted something very tainted about Trump's re-nomination, and they were bitching that the liberals, like the minute Trump made the announcement that this one guy would get on CNN and start refuting it. But then this one guy wrote, what's the difference between people who think Donald Trump is mentally unstable and some woman running around in a hat trying to, here, let me just see if I can find it, because he was saying, like, what's the difference between people calling Trump crazy and somebody running around in a hat from the liberal side acting even more emotional? So here it is. Eric Peterkovsky wrote on Joe Crummy's post, just to remember, the people marching around in vagina hats screaming at the sky and pretending Trump isn't their president are the same ones claiming he is mentally unstable. So with that, I'll bring Don in.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Wade.
Hi, Don.
Don, at first, I knew that you remembered the show, but because you walk all day in hot weather, I thought maybe you'd fallen asleep.
I just got home from work. What the hell I don't fall asleep that fast.
Don't worry, I don't charge you for being late.
Yeah, well, I just.
But I'll buy you a fancy dinner when I get to Reno next.
That's fine. You can.
Let me, Don and Wade, can I just read one more thing off this Joe Crummy post?
Well,
the Democrats already have their press release.
Let me just mention, Fancy and Reno don't go together. Now go ahead.
Okay, I'll take you out for that rib special. The Democrats already have their press releases all ready to go. They have to plug in the name, bad choice, we hate X. They're talking about the Supreme Court. Now let's watch to see which ones plug in the wrong names and don't catch it before hitting send. Half listening to the POTUS broadcast and key into the first name on the list they hear and go, blah, 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 blah. And then Ed Esch wrote, nomination, Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution requires the President of the U.S. to nominate Supreme Court justices with Senate confirmation requires justices to be appointed. There's that maverick, John McCain, who will block Trump. Don't celebrate too soon. Well, this idiot doesn't even know John McCain's on his deathbed.
Well, the point is that our dear beloved Harry Reid started a lot of this because we had the 2/3 majority in the past, and that was working pretty well. We had a pretty balanced court, and then Harry, in his wisdom, demanded that we change it to 50 to half. And so now here we are in 2018, and we've got a crazy man with the crazy liberal yelling at him with the crazy hats on. So they're all crazy. All y'all motherfuckers are crazy.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, that was a good point.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that Harry changed it to the 50 votes in the Senate for confirmation, and we're going to be looking at 2, and so we're going to be praying on our knees for the next 2 years, if not 6 years, that Ruth and that Bader Ginsburg doesn't get sick. We've got to pray that any of the other ones, not the women, but the guys, they maintain some semblance of health, and if they don't, they're conservative. But bottom line is that Harry Reid changed the name of the game, and now we're playing, that game of chicken.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We're not so much talking about the Supreme Court tonight. We're talking about America's construct. Like, when you really look at it, you guys, now I'm going to say something really radical.
So am I.
I'll tell you why, in reality, there is no separation of church and state. Because I see Americans every day projecting their belief system on their altruistic vision of the government. In other words, the ideal conservative wants no woman in America to have abortion. Does that mean that they want to help women pay for these children if they remain single parents? No. They just want America to live up to godly standards, blah, 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 blah. The perfect liberal wants everyone to accept people of all color, all gender benders, and everything, and live in one big happy world where everybody gets along.
A lot of them don't.
And even like somebody like you, Wade, you're a conservative, but you have tons of gay friends. You don't discriminate against them. No, I'm somebody who has.
I think those terms have been kind of mixed
what I'm
up
trying
over
to
this
say
time.
is that everybody,
sure.
whether they think they're objective or not.
Let him finish. He was saying something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wade.
Oh, it's I think the terms have been a little confused. Like, I do tend to align on a lot of things toward the right, but I don't think I'm very conservative in a traditional sense of the term. But I guess now that it kind of means not so socialist, or then I do tend to be conservative in those ways. Sorry, go on.
Good. Well, all I'm saying is that I've known you a long time. You accept people at face value, and a lot of your friends that you've picked, like Daniel, who you picked as a friend, you picked because you had things in common, like entertainment, animation, and creating.
Absolutely.
So, what I'm trying to say, Don, the overall thrust is that every day people project their viewpoints and beliefs on government. Now, I don't mind if they do it from a justice standpoint. Like, let's say a crime, they took it to trial and it was non-judiciously decided, like a criminal got off or the victim didn't get restitution. That's one thing. But people are being unrealistic in what the government can really serve. And it is a secular government. We do not have a theocracy in our land.
Well, that's the hypocrisy about the Democratic Republic experiment, is that essentially it's based on the freedom of religion. That freedom to, and that's an undercurrent that purposely was separated in the pre-Federalist papers. And so it was the basis for the United States was religious freedom. Now, the sad part is that it's been bastardized because they gave it to they still don't have a grasp of what a religion is. John Smith, again, he was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Indian killer in all of American history. So is that a good thing that you mentioned earlier? Are the Mormons the true religion? Is it a religion? That's the question. So we're looking at the fact that government does not make a profit. So the government is in a whole area by itself. And it's made up of these legislators who don't know what the fuck they're doing because they're freshmen or and sophomores who are just dumb as rocks, or they're experienced who are constantly being, I don't know, butthole fucked. And so you're talking about the fact that there is no middle ground anymore. And that's what I'm looking at, is the fact that here in Nevada, there is a purple. There is a definite purple. Even those people who gravitate to one party or another outside of their partisan non-ability to receive information or vote in the caucuses of either party, those people tend to gravitate towards the Democrats right now. But the thing is that you can never be sure, one. And two, these people are a viable part of our society now. This is an independent group, and like I said before, I'm looking at seeing if I can help with 9 independent stray parties and make them into one, so that we can have a viable third party. I think that that's going to be important. It'll be it's not going to be a change to American history, but that's going to be something that's got to be done, because you've got the Electoral College that is completely out of whack, and that's because of gerrymandering. And gerrymandering is going to be the death of us. And again, like the Reid situation with the changing of 60 to 50, the Republicans are looking to make sure that the country stays red. 90% of the country is red because of gerrymandering. And you've got, that's just an arbitrary figure. But
well, maybe they're red because they choose to be red, and there's a majority of red in that district.
No. Not in instances that can make a difference in the election. Those areas are red because the borders that are marked for them that have been constructed are completely partisan. They're blatantly illegal, and these courts refuse, because they're all made of a bunch of wimps, refuses to make any determinations almost anywhere on the legality and morality of which it is, of gerrymandering. So, we've got a country where 3 million, the Democrats had a 3 million vote win in the popular vote. But with the gerrymandering and the election itself, we are now under the, I can't say it, I don't even know the word for it. All I can do is say under the spell of the Trump presidency. And he's been as much as I admire his spunk, I admire his attitude and some of the things that he's been able to persuade people to do, because that's what I do for a living. So you have to give credit where credit's due. The man is a narcissistic racist who is completely enamored and consumed with the Nazi Hitler way of life. To wit, Donald Jr. saying that he had the Mein Kampf on his bed table. And, I've heard, go ahead and check it out. But the bottom line is that when you're a president of the United States and you can walk around saying that if your daughter wasn't your daughter, you would actually fuck her, and that's apparently what he said, then I won't respect that person enough to try to lead me into anywhere, much less in the future of the globe. That's not. I can't even think. I can't imagine people who do that. I cannot imagine people who are the evangelicals. If we go back to them, they are acting like devil worshippers because they're giving carte blanche to this man and treating him as a god. And this is, I can't even say it's not democratic. It's not human. And to be these aliens are walking around and they actually believe the tripe that a shiny bauble is worth more than a human life. When somebody can tell me or persuade me that a coin or a piece of paper that has little or no weight has the value of destroying the earth. When somebody can tell me that answer, I'll be more than happy to listen.
I think this goes
Wade,
back to the original. Yeah. Well, it comes back to the original thing you brought up. We have the Federalist Papers to blame because, a lot of people were upset about Obama, and a lot of people are upset about Trump. Well, and George Bush before them, and a lot of people would have been upset about Hillary Clinton. And, if we didn't give so much authority to the federal government, it wouldn't matter so much, and it wouldn't be such a problem. Like look what happened in Russia. They had a very large federal government that became the Soviet Union when it fell in the early 1900s after their revolution. And so, tyranny can, having a big government does not prevent tyranny, like the Federalist said. I don't see how that works.
Yeah, no, it's inevitable. You're right, Wade. This is a destruction of this democratic republic experiment is doomed to happen. In one way or another. But the problem is that it's the blatant disrespect of those who have this bauble and overthinking that they are superior to a person who's hardworking, plays by the rules, pays their taxes all the time, and puts their kids through college properly, has a picket fence and a dog and 2 kids, the perfect.
Sure.
And you've got thousands of guys who go into the banking system, turn a key, pull out everybody else's money, and then think that they're superior to mom, dad, sis and brother, and the dog, who are just apple pie eating American motherfuckers. So you got, so you got this schism that is beyond color, and it's beyond race, and it's beyond gender, really.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's only about this game of called I'm superior to you, to everybody, and it's so sad because I can play that game a little bit, not to the extent of the super rich, but I've been dealing with the very rich for a long time, most of my life, and it sucks. The feeling that you get when you try to play that, when the media, I try to play that game, and I I just do it for fun. I don't play it with malice. But the feeling inside me is decrepit. It's like, why would anyone want to completely disregard somebody and then throw all of their values on that other life. Why would somebody even think that way? And my main thing is that I can stop. I can stop them. All I need to do is talk to them, and these people will pretty much capitulate to trying to be some cyborg where computers are the only things, and disregard humanity.
Yeah. What's frustrating when you have the federal government taking some of our money and giving it to the people that are in power and so they can feel superior. Like, yeah, you're getting superior because you're getting special treatment from people taking our resources. So yeah, that definitely.
No, that's the only difference between the rich people and regular people. Regular people work just as hard and in essence can make just as much money, but rich people find every method to receive welfare. We call it wealthy welfare, and every rich person, every single rich person has it. They are actually on welfare, and they will laugh at you and tell you they are on wealthy welfare. The thing is that they will also add.
Not everybody will laugh at you.
They'll also add the line, "But I got it and you don't."
I don't know the statistics. Could be. I imagine there's some people that are just good, successful entrepreneurs.
100% of all people who are wealthy because of some subsidy or backing or nefarious dealings or inheritance, or there's something that they got.
Ross Perot got wealthy contracting with the government.
Who's more crooked than the government? Are you kidding, Jane?
True.
I'm just saying, some people got rich by. You know that Mike from New York who calls our show a lot? He has a contract with the government to feed the military in all different parts of New York.
How many kickbacks? Ask Mike if he's gotten any kickbacks lately. Ask when he calls back. Ask him what favors he might have had. He might have had to bribe somebody when he first got in the business. And ask him how many times he's violated pollution laws because of something that went wrong.
Well, I'm not going to ask someone who calls the show regularly who is a good caller.
Oh, Jane, you are such a trip.
You think I'm going to alienate those people? He's one of the good guys.
Where's Albert? Where's Ben? Where's Albert?
Albert is a little.
John.
Albert's been. John told me he could call the show for sure, and then he's. Did you know that his job at the 99-cent store is on call? So, like the night before, he doesn't know when he's going to work the next day or what time. He got called into work from 4:30 to 1 a.m. California time. So he can't call the show unless it's a break.
Wow.
Okay.
Ben was supposed to call in after his kids went to bed, and he still might. Why? Aren't me and Wade good enough for you?
No. Just tell John. No. My point was that you be messing people up. My point is you just said something earlier, and it was about, I don't know what.
You could tell John, since he's a non-college graduate with a scrappy job, that he has no power in his life.
He already knows. What are you talking about, Jane? John knows he's got his voice. And he can have power if he decides to go.
That was a political hot comment, and I don't even know if you picked up on it.
I picked up on it, and I was going to say something, and then I deflected to he's banned. Okay.
Oh, well, I have something to bring up to you guys now that things are... Go ahead, Wade.
I'm not going to say what I was
Don.
I was not going to say what I was going to say without him being on the line.
No, John's a great guy. You know what the good thing about John is? He's all things to all people. Like, if someone at church needs help, he'll be at their front door in a half hour. He leads the youth music group at his church. He's been successful in business. Not having a college degree has not slowed him down. I want to tell you just 3 little bullet points, and then we can go on to a next discussion. In the past, when Trump created the new plan in May for border crossers, anyone caught crossing the border illegally, immediately there was a federal prosecutor that would be pressing criminal charges. If the parents were with their kids, the kids were sent to juvenile facilities or foster care. If no family relation was available in the area to take the kids. The Department of Homeland Security, which we talked about 2 shows ago, who took over and merged with ICE, said in 1997 they can only hold children up to 20 days. In 1998, human trafficking laws mandated that the Office of Refugee Resettlement would handle children during proceedings. Like, they weren't necessarily separated from families, but if they came across the border on their own without parents, then they were managed by the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And in 2008, George Bush signed into law, Bush 43, and it was passed by Congress by unanimous consent, that it does not require, the mandate said that you do not have to require families to split up, but you do have to limit the length that you hold illegal immigrants. For example, if they cross the border illegally and they get charged, you probably couldn't hold them more than 120 days. So what Trump did is he took snippets of these laws and tried to mold them into his own political agenda. And what he did was just basically accelerate the federal prosecution and made it tougher for people to cross the border, because if you separate families and kids, they're not going to want to come over. That's it.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I heard just the deterrent was just to start arresting them to deter people. Now, like, of course, my thinking is it's like, don't restrict people from getting jobs. My gosh. And, don't give out welfare then. Allow jobs. Right? Like, I don't understand.
And like,
it seems like
as
we got that
you know,
backwards.
Wade, that like a lot of Mexicans stand at Home Depot. Like, the thing that puzzles me.
Make it legal.
Yeah, like they can get jobs, but they really don't want those kind of jobs, because then they're going to have to like sit at their family members. They might work 2 days a week out of 5, because maybe 3 days they won't have jobs. I guess my thing is if you're tough on immigration, then make a stance. Like, don't allow these people in. However, if you're a little bit accommodating, then figure out a plan. Like, I know about 20 years ago, a lot of American plants moved to Mexico and hired Mexicans. Therefore, the Mexicans didn't want to come over here. If anyone ever saw Michael Moore's movie, I think it was called The Big, I can't remember what it's called now, The Big Something. Anyways, they were talking about plants in the Midwest that moved to Mexico and how the Midwesterners were heartbroken, but the Mexicans were happy they got jobs. But I'm not really debating the morality of it. I just brought up the laws because Ben was trying to argue last week that who knows if the laws were an Obama law that Trump was trying to enforce, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you guys are missing the big point. The big picture.
What's that?
And the truth of it all, this ain't got shit to do with Jemima getting split from her kids. This has to do with that. You follow the money. Everything about him is about money. He don't give a shit about anybody but money. This is about the fact that
money is his translator to success.
And his best friends, he's got best friends in every corporate venue. But some of his really best friends are private prison owners. These are people who he is in bed with the mafia style.
And how do you know this?
Hierarchy. Because, his associations, the lawyers that he had, Michael Cohen probably will be able to afford some private party, but the people he parties with, the people who are at golf course, a lot of them are in the prison system. And he is,
what are they getting out of imprisoning illegals?
Money.
Are they going to make them make license plates or something?
No, they're going to hold them there as long as they can. That 120 days has been violated, and already for a couple of them. And the thing is that they need long-term, sustainable occupancy. That way, the federal government and everybody, we're still paying, whether we're paying in the front or we're paying in the rear, the taxpayer is getting butt-fucked royally. And the transfer of wealth is the greatest. This is the whole purpose of everything. Everything this man is doing is office, the reason he's there. And
well, you're on point tonight, but Wade and I were discussing last week that let's just say 500 people, let's say there's 5,000 people stuck at the border. It's not like you can't send them back within 3 days. Let's just say they had a jumbo jet. They were going to send them all back to their home countries. Like, it's kind of a mess. Like, there is no, even if he was out for the money, there's not going to be any rectifiable solution.
Wait.
Yeah.
What did I just say? What did I just tell her? What did I just say?
Oh.
He doesn't give, and I think I used the word fuck. He doesn't give a fuck about anybody. People is not his purpose, his goal. He's not playing with people.
I get it, Don. I get it.
Well, then.
But it doesn't mean that the problem at the border is going to be solved whether he's selfish or not.
Who cares about the border? Who cares about the border? How many times have I told you that it would be a fantastic thing if we can get a wall across the border? But it would be a fantastic thing if we got a wall between both borders. There are just as many illegals are coming over, undocumented coming over from Canada as there are from Mexico almost now. You know, these people are freaking whacked. That's what I was talking about in terms of having the church being involved in government. I was going to get to that point that these people have bastardized religion, and it's all whack. We're dealing with a system that you are trying to make logical and say that tradition has reigned until 30 seconds ago. But that's not the truth. The truth is that every single new religion that comes in, every new leader that comes in this time is bound to change the dynamics of our universe. And we're the biggest fish in the biggest pond. And, you know, if anything else if we were anything else, we would be debt-ridden right now. When I say that, I mean Wall Street would be at a penny. But it's because we're strong-arming everyone around the world. That's the only reason we're, you know, up in at a range right now that's been 24 to 25. But
I get it.
This is all smoke and mirrors, and until people realize that whatever the individual act is, that there is a big goal, and there's that is in all of these guys' mind, and your president just happens to have the biggest mind concerning goals that I have seen probably ever.
Okay, let's have Wade discuss what you just said, because he's been a little blocked out tonight.
Oh, no, that's okay. Just, I have to admit there's a lot I don't know. I can't tell you for sure what Trump's motivation is. I've heard a lot of people say it's about votes, so that a lot of the Democrats figure people from south of the border will vote more Democrat. So, a lot of the struggles over that. There's a lot of party politics and game playing about trying to win.
Wade, the field is unplayable. Those votes, he doesn't care about the votes. Now, not him, because he manufactures votes. That's what Russia's
Don,
for.
even if, by the way, Ben is on hold. I'm going to pull him in. Even if Donald Trump is egocentric and money-driven, it doesn't mean he still has to put on a good face to solve the border crisis, because he's not going to get reelected if he doesn't effectively solve it. With that, I'll bring Ben in.
Sure.
Good
and I'm
evening,
just saying
Ben.
I don't read his mind. Hi, Ben.
Hey, nice to meet you, Wade. Hey, Don.
Nice to meet you.
What's up, Ben?
Don't worry, Ben. You can still be in the lineup. I can add 6 faces to the roster. So right now,
you can take your face out once.
Don't worry, Don. You're in the top row.
Oh.
Okay. Anyways, we're discussing tonight. Well, the first thing we covered was the Federalist Paper 10, because I've had a lot of people arguing on Facebook about what the government's role is, and I was trying to project that we have a secular government, not a theocratic government, and they can't impose their belief systems on others. And then the second thing, we brought up 3 things about the border that you asked about last week. There were 3 laws between 1997 and 2008 that affected how illegals are handled. And now, Don, why don't you reiterate your last comment about Donald Trump and what his goals are on the border?
Did you hear him, Ben?
No, he didn't hear the part where you were saying that Trump only has a money-driven agenda.
Okay, Ben. I said Trump only has a money-driven agenda.
Well, you have to elaborate more than that. You're
all
something else. You're going in the bottom row tonight.
No, please not the bottom row. No,
okay, go ahead. Just say it in about 2 sentences.
That is the synopsis of it. Essentially, Donald Trump doesn't care about you, me, anybody, the lamppost. He just cares about money and how much he can acquire of it.
What's your evidence for that?
That we were taking the instance of the immigration situation. And I insist, because of the playlist of people that I've seen from prison industry, that some of the press allies of Donald Trump are private prison owners. And this is about getting them, I guess, a block of the check, because he's given everybody else a goo-gob of money and hasn't given anybody else. I talked to a restaurant owner today and asked him if that tax credit helped him, and he said he got his $1,000, and that's about it.
That sounds good to me.
What? You got $1,000 extra dollars?
He got $1,000 extra from the tax credit, but that's right before he said that was right before gas went up, and our health care went up, and And that and you know that
$1,000
$1,000 went.
Nothing that you just said is proof that Donald Trump doesn't care about me at all.
I will give him this,
he doesn't care
Don.
about America.
I don't think Donald Trump would have run for president if he didn't care about America. You got to give him that.
Yeah, he cares about America in only financial terms, not humanistic terms. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I think he cares about like how good we look.
He cares about how good he looks.
Why would he appoint a constitutional-minded judge, 2 of them, to our Supreme Court? Why would he care if they're constitutional or not? Why wouldn't he just appoint somebody from the Federal Reserve or somebody from Goldman Sachs?
Or somebody
if that's all he cares about, why wouldn't he appoint a financier to the Supreme Court instead of a constitutionalist-minded judge?
I wish he would, because a financier wouldn't necessarily always jump on a conservative.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Ben, because not so much the Supreme Court, but the Federal Reserve Board, there was a lot of corruption on there for years. Now, I don't know if Alan Greenspan was corrupt, but there was a lot of embezzling between the banks and the feds.
Everybody's corrupt.
Slow your roll, Don. Okay, you guys fight it out. I got to check something online.
No.
Sure.
No,
I'm just...
You see, Ben, you see what happens when people stand around, drag their feet, and demand proof. We got a Robert Mueller who's been there almost 2 years, and he hasn't done jack shit.
Nobody knows what he's doing.
Maybe not
kind of anti-government tonight.
No, the government...
He wouldn't... Don, if he's done anything, he's not going to tell you, Don. If he's done anything at all, he's not going to tell you first. He hasn't told anybody.
But I have the inside track on a lot of it. And
for all we know, he's building a case against the Clintons.
I talk to these people all day long, Jane. You guys, I talk to politicians.
No, I'm just saying. I didn't know you had inside dirt on the Mueller investigation. I'd like to know it.
No, I don't have. No, I'm not on that investigation itself. On the results that are coming out of what Mueller's doing. No, I mean I have insight on that. He's a very private. He's a very but I'm right now all immersed in my state politics. I'm working for a super PAC, and we're out here talking to these people all the time. And you get a chance to see trends and learn some of the potential directions that virtually everyone is taking, because they have to, at some point, develop their own strategies and implement them. So you get over time and real time overtime information, and that is extremely important when it comes to developing your candidacy or your strategy. And that's what I see from Donald Trump and some of the things that he does and some of the entities that he deals with. That's where the conjecture comes in. I mean, proof is there. I'll find the proof in episode 6072 when we get to it. But the bottom line is that his golf course is filled with prison administrators, and I don't see why he would leave them out of this income theft redistribution that he has perpetrated on the American public with this tax reform. And I can't say it's a scam, because a scam is something you can stop if you
Wait a second, Don. You just contradicted. You lean left, and you're concerned about wealth redistribution.
No. I'm talking. No, I don't. No, you miss it, Ben. I've told you many times. I'm not really that left. All I'm doing is trying to.
Yes, you are. Your alliances tell you what you are.
No,
Your alliances define what you are.
But I deal with most people.
It's not always the same across the board.
I deal with people on both sides of the aisle. I don't take a political preference most of the time. I take a preference of my morals, of what I think is right for people. And I don't give a damn if it's espoused by a Republican or a Democrat. I'm just looking out for my fellow man to make sure that they're happy and they have the opportunity. That's the key. They have the opportunity to be as good as they can be. That's my main concern. I don't give a fuck about anything else. And
I've already analyzed your point of view many times.
My point of view is
you come from the side of the aisle that focuses on identity politics and unequal equality and reparations and all of the same other talking points that the left uses. You can't say that you dissociate yourself with the left.
No.
Because you all constantly blame white people and those damn Republicans constantly.
No. The Republican part, I damn them because...
And you don't care about the Constitution. You've said that in those words. You don't give a damn about the Constitution because it's not for you anyway. I've heard you say that.
Yeah.
The left says
that,
not the right.
Yeah, but there are different reasons. I always talk about degrees too, and how far you can go. I'm a minority male, so I have a viewpoint. Like me personally, I really can't stand 4th of July because it's the epitome of elitism, where you've got all these people having all this fun, and then back in the 1860s, and you got the black slaves cleaning up after. Fuck that. It's like that's my point of view. It's not about leftism or anything like that. It's the fact that there's
It doesn't have to. You don't have to understand what you're doing. You're using the tactics that were written by elite leftists. It doesn't matter if you understand what you're doing. You're doing it. You're doing it by nature.
I'm doing it. Well, I'm not the only one. And the sad thing is that there's a denial thing going on. It must be contagious, huh, Jane? But anyway, there's a denial thing that elitism doesn't exist. They talk about.
It exists.
I admit
it exists. Yeah, it exists. And it's got to be stopped, or else it's going to destroy humans. It's going to destroy life as we know it on this planet when we give carte blanche ability to drill in every eco-sensitive area of our planet. And what is that going to bear? It's already borne the rapid loss. We've had losses of our ice, but not in these ways. And we're bringing up gases and who knows what from inside the earth that is going to destroy who knows how many places, how many earthquakes, how many volcanoes, how many fissures in the ocean are going to open up. And this has nothing to do with political party or who a person might be. I do not, and I said this at the start of this show, I do not want to follow a person who goes on the air and says that if his daughter wasn't his daughter, he would fuck her. He said that. I don't get it. I don't get it.
That's not a quote.
It just goes in with this mental problem.
Okay. I think there's a YouTube somewhere out there, but bottom line is that even if he didn't say fuck, he said that several times in several videos.
Why would you examine anything that Donald Trump says off the cuff with a microscope? He rambles on so much that you gotta find the things that actually matter. You could get hung up on some little thing that tweaked you a little bit, but why? What's the point? He rattles off all kinds of stuff in his speeches.
I don't.
But can you find the points?
That's why we got on this conversation in the first place, because I made just a complete blanket statement that whatever it was that I said. So, bottom line,
I think Don's getting tired, but he made more sense 20 minutes ago.
Well, no, I made the blanket statement that he was about money. And that was a blanket statement that included all of what we're talking about.
The thing is, Ben, is I know you're a rational guy, but sometimes when Trump is rattling things off and being culturally and socially inappropriate, it is disturbing. Like, build a wall, build the wall, yabba dabba doo. Would they say that if there were 3,000 Germans or Norwegians at the border? Or when he just says things...
A lot of countries have walls.
He made a mean comment about Daddy Bush last week on the 1,000 Points of Light speech, that it was like he was talking from the side of his mouth, like reflecting back on that speech. It was unnecessary.
And little Marco is right, it's sniffing his balls. You know,
let's put it into perspective. You don't like nationalism. We talked about that last week, Don. You do not like nationalism.
I don't.
If your favorite football team wasn't allowed to be a fan of themselves, they had to be fans of other teams, but not their own. How does that work for a football team?
It doesn't. But
right, we are a team. We're a nation.
Colin Kaepernick is a fan of himself because he has no other way to be.
Well, I mean, that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's about the individual.
No, here's my point. Here's my point. Let's say we have a Seahawks team, but none of the Seahawks team are allowed to be Seahawks fans themselves, to be NFL fans only. Because to be a Seahawks fan as a Seahawk would be offensive to all the other teams.
But the other teams can be fans of themselves, right?
Exactly. That's what anti-nationalist argument is telling me.
Wade just brought up a good point. But can the other teams be fans of themselves? Is it the same?
They already are.
Which would be hypocritical, right?
Nationalist. Japan is allowed to be nationalist. Mexico is allowed to be nationalist. China, every country in Europe is allowed to be proud to be what they are. We're the only country that's afraid to be proud to be American.
Why?
France is definitely nationalistic.
But entitlement, I mean, the wealthy welfare allows all these wealthy white men to be okay with being elitist. So we don't have a problem knowing that we are superior. There's all of this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Ben's call dropped by mistake. He can call back in. But now I got to go back in the room and text him.
Why did you drop him, Jane?
I didn't drop him. His call dropped.
Oh, shit. Come on now.
Ben, before you come on the line, I was watching a video and I mentioned, Wade's the only one who heard about it. It was on culture and subculture. Like, just because you're from the same country and you speak the same language doesn't mean that you embrace the same culture. So maybe you could take that approach. Right. So let's say there's 5 different Swedish settlements in Duluth, Minnesota, but they all practice different types of belief systems. I don't know. I'm going to pull Ben back in so you can talk to Don and Wade. Just a second.
Yeah, I mean, I went to South Korea and I felt more a cultural connection to a lot of people over there than people in California. Like, the South Koreans made more sense to me a lot of times.
Well, do you think it's because in California there's such a large volume of people just involved in the daily struggle that that they can't connect because it's all such a overwhelming thing?
I think it's
Ben,
because there's a lot
I'm still trying to
of.
pull you in. My computer's slow tonight. Okay, you're in, Ben.
I think it's.
Go ahead, Wade. Finish.
There's a lot of things in California. There's a lot of thinking you see from people that would be very strange outside, and one of them is like double standards. Like when I'm in your car, I get to change your radio station. When you're in my car, you better not touch my radio. You know, that's California thinking. The rest of the world, that's crazy. You know, stuff like that. That's like, yeah. When I left, I'm like, there's some craziness in California. Like the rest of the world, like nitpicking. Like the rest of the world, people don't care what you wear. California, oh yeah, there's a lot of people interested in what you're doing wrong and why are you wearing that, and so yeah, I've seen that. There's a lot of odd things in that state. San Diego, Los Angeles.
California, though, is they respect the pedestrian. In Minnesota, let's say you're walking across the street a little too slow, you better look out because someone's going to plow you over.
Well, all I know is that when he said that he felt the connection with South Korea more than Californians, everybody's in California, so you can't feel jack. You can't feel anything when you're in California because that's not the purpose of being there. So, of course, you're going to feel...
well, you're not talking about California as a whole. You're talking about one area in Los Angeles, which is not a very good example to compare California to.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. No, I shouldn't generalize. Yeah, I meant certain parts. Absolutely. I concede that.
Because I came from Northern California, and that has more in common with somewhere like Texas or. I've been to a lot of places, but Northern California has nothing in common with Southern California. The only connection they have
very different.
Is Northern California feeds them and gives them their water. And it has nothing to do with the generosity of the Northern California. It's the leadership that does it. They fill the reservoirs and empty them.
Yeah. I believe you, and I haven't really spent much time in North.
California to Texas. They have the biggest pot-growing county in the country up there.
And I don't even mean that.
I think it's called Humboldt County.
Yeah, and I don't even mean that all the people where I was from are like that either. Sorry.
Only about 300 miles away.
I understand your general point, Ben, though, about like the community sense of being like Texas. But I think the thing is, when you're in a big city, I did find one colloquial difference between Minnesota and California. Strangers are nice in a good way. Like, let's say you're in 7-Eleven and there's 25 people in the store. Like, people will say hi to you like they do in the South. But if you're in Minnesota in line at Quick Trip or a 7-Eleven, people just stand there like statues, going about their business. They don't look around and see who's in the store and someone they might know to say hi.
Okay.
I don't know. There's more of a casualness in California that I like. And I think in places like New York, Chicago, and L.A. where it's so stressful that you kind of have to silently rely on those strangers for a friendly hello from time to time, because life can get pretty tough.
Yeah. And there were good things. There was a lot of creative people and, big dreams and stuff. And I guess what I should have specified is I saw those behaviors in California. They don't reflect everyone in California, maybe not even most people, but I saw them in California, and I don't see those behaviors almost never outside California.
Right. Well, you see a lot of those behaviors that you're talking about in Southern California and the Silicon Valley and the Bay Area. It's a strip along the coast, basically. It's the blue strip. If you look at the voting map, it's the blue strip that goes all the way up the coast from L.A. all the way up to Washington. And Washington is split between red and blue, east and west. California is pretty much split between north and south, red and blue, but it's that coastline that's the blue strip. So if you're looking for similar characteristics of people, you'll find that all the way up the west half of all those states, all the way to the top.
I think California is primarily blue, Ben. There are pockets of conservative in places like Vallejo.
He's talking about the strip. He's right. All the way from San Diego all the way up. The coast is liberal.
There's blue and then there's irrational, too. I mean, there's a difference, too. Like,
we've gone over this, Wade. Everything is irrational. We've gone over this already.
No,
Don't
Don.
snap at him. He's a new host. And he doesn't.
I know what you're talking about.
That was kind of mean for me.
You're kind of snotty for that matter.
Yeah, no, that was pretty mean and snotty for me, and I would apologize, but damn it, I meant it.
I think Ben is the one who pissed you off, not Wade.
Nobody pissed me off. Why does everybody say they pissed me off? I don't.
Oh, sorry, you're just being enthusiastic.
Everybody said
it. I don't get pissed off.
What's in your Kool-Aid tonight?
Okay. Well, I'm like you said. Maybe it's because I'm tired. I'm getting ready to get out here.
You just got done walking 8 hours in 100-degree weather.
Exactly.
Going door to door for America.
I don't know if everything is irrational, but I'm sure we're all potential victims of the Dunning-Keurig effect. So we all could be insane and not know it. That's true.
Right.
Well, I know what you're saying.
I already know it, though. I already know it.
There's rabid liberals, and then there's blue dog Democrats. And I have a friend who is one of the last remaining blue dog Democrats, because you don't meet them a lot anymore. And I had
a lot of them come from the South, the blue dogs.
Well, he came from Chicago eventually, but then spent time in Hawaii, now lives here. But
South Chicago.
I don't know. I don't know Chicago well, but he grew up Democrat because his family was Democrat, and he says I'm the only person that disagrees with him that he can talk to. And we had a conversation about his party. I mean, he doesn't want to talk about Republicans, but I talked to him about him being left behind. I said, you're rational and you know it. You're hardworking. You're just about to retire, and you've watched your party go from Kennedy to this. They left you behind. They don't care about you anymore. They want new voters, and you're not one of them. And he agreed with everything I said. I said they dumped you, and you still vote for them because you're afraid to vote Republican because your family was afraid to vote Republican.
I seriously considered voting for John Fitzgerald Johnson. It was a guy we had on our show twice. He ran for president, and he actually got to sit by Trump at one of the presidential things in New York. But
he may be running again in 2020.
Yeah, he got pissed off at me for voting for Hillary, but I told him I'm a Clintonite and I wasn't capable of change at this point.
That's honesty. All right.
It's true. I'm devoted to Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Well, you're devoted to Hillary then.
I had a dream about Bill Clinton that he was my friend and that everybody was dissing him and second-guessing him in the dream.
If you're actually a Bill Clinton fan, you can't nitpick what Donald Trump says. Because we could go on for 10 more episodes.
Well, he didn't go around being a braggadocio about who he porked.
No, they have to cover up everybody they murdered.
But did you keep
Foster,
the dress? Did you keep
fake
the dress?
suicide.
I'll buy the dress, $10. $10. Did you keep the dress?
Right. They're cocky.
You know what? I wanted to bring that up on the show. Somebody asked him at his book signing if he should apologize to Monica Lewinsky due to the Me Too movement. And this is my take on it. Why the hell should he apologize? Her booty went after his ass. She lifted up her skirt in the hallway and showed her all her goods. She wanted a piece of him. Why should he apologize?
Maybe he should just stick to apologizing to Juanita Broderick or the Flowers lady.
Well, that was pretty messed up if it's true.
Well, that
or everybody that they've buried in the woods.
There's quite a few of them too.
Hey, maybe they can apologize to Seth Rich.
They got a free burial.
No, I cannot believe
I feel bad about
still...
Seth Rich's death, but Bill Clinton knows in his heart that he'll have to face God on Judgment Day.
I can't believe that you're still admitting to being a fan. I can't believe there's any supporters of the Clintons in this country at all.
Me neither.
I can't.
There's quite a few.
They tried hard.
The episodes, after all the information that's out there in the public
because they're worst people on the earth.
Well, some people like Joe Stalin under his death too. Bill Clinton is very intelligent. Even Richard Nixon in all his screwed upness was kind of admirable in some ways.
Did you ever figure out where they were flying to when they were flying coach the other day?
The Clintons?
Yeah, it was all over. All over Twitter.
Were they on JetBlue?
Well, maybe Jeff Epstein's plane was booked or something, but they weren't flying first class.
I have no clue, Ben. I didn't follow that aspect of the news. Where were they going? Do you know?
That's what I just asked you.
I mean, maybe they were going to Thailand to rescue the people in the cave.
Well, I know they weren't going to Haiti because they already went there and ruined that place. And now Haiti's having a revolution.
My activist friend Bob, who you wouldn't let me bring up last week, he met Haitians face-to-face who told him with a primary source why they hated the Clintons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons.
I heard about that.
If you look up Tony Rodham, Hillary's brother, he's into the mining and minerals, and he tried to go after their gold. And why did the Clinton Foundation get involved with Haiti at all? Who knows? But
I just heard that they didn't deliver on certain promises.
They were trying to secure mining there.
Okay.
I have Bob Graff's, he's the activist I'm telling you about. I have his information on file. I just don't have it in front of me tonight. So, well, let's say it's 12:23. We've been on, or 12:33. I can't read that far. We've been on the air almost 90 minutes. What direction do you want to go in for the last 15 minutes, y'all?
Oh, I thought of something that Ben, we were talking about California, and he's in Northern California. I want to ask how the split, how that's going. That's interesting.
He lives
talk
in
about
Washington
the
State
California.
now.
Oh, really? Oh, but you were from there.
I was from
there.
Nevada.
I'm in Nevada, Wade. It's not happening.
Okay. It's not happening?
Did you go to high school in Northern California, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I remember you told me that, go ahead.
Small town, rural communities all around it. It was the middle of nowhere.
Did it burn down yet?
Is that where you formed your conservative roots?
No, I did that by learning the dangers of socialism and communism on my own.
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't have a comeback for that.
Well, I just wonder why we have a president whose best friends are socialists and communists.
Well, what do you mean,
me, you mean?
I'm not aware of that.
You mean me?
I'm
For
talking
the
about
president.
Putin and
I'm a socialist. My hero is Vladimir Lenin.
Putin is an anti-globalist. So that's what they have in common.
Putin gets a pass because he's sexy.
Putin is anti-globalist, and Putin's also a nationalist. He's proud to be Russian, he's proud of his country, and he hates the globalist agenda. And same with Trump. They have a lot in common.
Oh, they
you
have
can't call him a socialist or a
what
communist.
I heard, Ben? I heard that United Kingdom Foreign Secretary who just resigned. There was something in the works that Brexit thing was never going to successfully go through, and also that Putin knew something about it.
But yeah, I think anybody who's against leaving the European Union, I think anybody who's against centralized authority should not like globalism. Because like the European Union is very centralized authority, centralized planning.
Well, they have to be. Did you know that the one good thing about Europe, though, is because they lost so many people in World War II, they have kind of embraced a permanent peaceful diplomatic solution.
Nothing's permanent.
They're very
on their way to losing. Sure. They are softer than their culture has ever been before. They have become wimpy. Every country over there is wimpy except for Poland.
Well, I know England
Poland was
has
the one that was mistreated.
I heard Poland has the best economy now in the computer sector, and they're one of the top nations in GDPs. But Ben
they also don't trust
and Don,
immigration. They have the best
the other thing, you guys, is
too.
that Russia has always been territorial expansionists, and they've always had a personal agenda in wiping out other people. They've been trying to take over the Dardanelles Straits near Turkey. They're always thinking about themselves. Being a Russian and a nationalist isn't necessarily a good thing.
Well, they're also being cornered and sanctioned to death. Every business deal they try to do gets sanctioned and blocked. So of course they're interested in Georgia and what's that
Chechnya?
part of Ukraine they just
Ukraine.
Some of the sand countries.
No,
Ukraine.
The port that is part of Ukraine, but now it's owned by Russia.
The thing is, it's kind of what Don's analogy. Let's compare Don's analogy about how Trump wants to turn the border wars into a moneymaker. Well, Russia had no mercy for the Syrian refugees. They didn't take one effing refugee in, and they were at least 50% responsible for every death in that country in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Nobody can disagree with that, and don't you even dare try.
Okay. No, we can't. So go on.
Well, I guess the thing with Russia is that we don't know what the individual people are like, except for on Anthony Bourdain. Some of the people are pissed off that Russians so anti-gay, but the thing is that Putin won't bend on the gay laws. It's not acceptable in Russia to be gay. There's like an underground gay community there. But the thing is that Russia has, they are one of, if there is ever an evil access, let's face it, Russia tries to be the goodwill host on one hand, but they always have a secret agenda on the other. They should be feared.
A lot of the actors in Korea were Russian,
Pardon,
so
Wade?
I met a lot of them. Yeah, and one of the shows I was on, a lot of the big chunk of the cast were Russians, and a lot of them are like pretty easygoing. They don't, I mean they're the most villainized group in movies, and they don't get upset about it. They're like, oh yeah, we're always the bad guys in films, and so most of them I found like pretty easygoing, not uptight. And
I guess I should retreat on my statement a little. The traditional foreign policy agenda of Russia has been brutal, but most of the average citizens are pretty nice. Just like I have 3 or 4 Iranian friends in California who left in the late 70s. They're great people. You can't really judge somebody just from the country they come from.
Yeah. Well,
my neighbors, I've got neighbors from Russia, and they, with their couple, with their 2 kids and mother, and they play Russian rap music. They be getting down.
Yeah.
Do they have a long last name?
I don't know.
Like Brzezinski?
I don't know.
Or
I don't know.
Fedorov?
Okay, whatever.
I think you'll find
their last name.
I'm just trying to be a little tongue-in-cheek. We can't always be serious.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think a lot of times you'll find when there's authoritarian governments, a lot of the people are, like when there's a lot of hierarchy, that the regular people are pretty easygoing. That can often be the case. And then the people at the top are very authoritarian.
Or submissive.
And one admirable thing about Russia is, like, they do kind of, like, if somebody is good at something, they accelerate that person in sports or music or dance. Like, they strive to be high achievers.
As they shoot them all up with steroids and HGH? Okay.
Well, China does the same thing.
You have to be negative all the time?
No, China does the same thing.
China does the same thing. Absolutely.
I didn't
here
mean that, John, actually. You're not always negative, but don't always overstate the obvious.
Here in the United States, if somebody has better odds of being good at something, they get kneecapped for it.
Except for Lance, the guy who cheated all those years. What do you mean by kneecapped?
I mean, if somebody's prone to do well at something, they get slowed down. Other people get more advantages. Like, for example, Asian test scores. Asians do better at test scores than all other people. So they have to do extremely good to get into the same college. Did you know that John Yoder brings that example up on every effing episode? I didn't bring that example up before.
No, I said John Yoder does.
Okay,
okay. Well,
one reason they do is because they have 10 hours of school and they drill math into their heads.
No, I'm talking about the U.S.
Let them finish.
I'm talking about the U.S. and our policies to accelerate who our government wants to accelerate. So there's all kinds of minority benefits that are handed out. But technically, statistically, Asians do better at test scores. They get slowed down. They don't get let through as easily, even with a better score than anybody else in their class. They have to score extremely well to get into the same college that a minority would get a pass to.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Test score. That's what I mean.
Blind meritocracy.
We have had that debate before several times on our show. Ben.
The Russian last name of my neighbor is an American name because the father is from America, so that's why I don't.
Okay, cool.
We were talking about.
I had 3 Bulgarian friends in California too, and they said that their life was better under communism because they had a guaranteed house and a guaranteed job.
Exactly.
And I had 2 friends from Yugoslavia who said the same thing.
Well, I think
that's great.
They said every year that Joseph Broz made it better.
I'd never have beautiful. That'd be beautiful, but I'd never have a white man telling me what to do.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, if you lived in Yugoslavia, you might.
Maybe the communism works better for people that just want a regular life, but if when you have centralized decision making, it stifles the people that aren't part of the inner circle, but are inventive and innovative and want to be creative and come up with new things. when you only have a small group of people that get to be the creative ones. That's
right,
my issue. You know, like I like to do creative things.
Wade.
I don't. Thanks.
Because the reason I brought that up is because let's say there was a computer genius like Bill Gates in one of those satellite countries, like what Yugoslavia used to be, but now is Slovenia or Serbia. What if the government doesn't approve his project and he has no way to market his idea?
Absolutely, yeah. That would be my concern.
Ben or Don?
Well, I made my point. I'm frustrated with the way things go. If somebody earns their way, they shouldn't be slowed down from the finish line. They should be able to earn it all the way through.
And that's what I've been saying. That's what I said earlier this show, and that's what I've been saying all this. That's what opportunity. When I say opportunity, I know that people are going to fail. That's a natural tendency. You know, that 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 people are going to fail. But you just give them the opportunity to do what they need to do to either succeed or fail. But,
well, all this stuff that's being done to hinder other people is in the name of equal opportunity. It's disguised as equal opportunity.
No, it's disguised.
If you look at it from somebody else's point of view, it's not
I do
equal.
have a point, refute. Ben, if America has so many freedoms, Ben and Wade, why are there so many people with addiction problems, alcohol, gambling, smoking weed, avoiding real responsibility? And there could be thousands of potential geniuses who are sitting on their asses.
Freedom also.
Yeah, freedom. Well, yeah, and freedom also does give people the option of making bad choices. I think we have to accept that as part of freedom. That if you want to allow people to make good choices, but people might make bad choices, but that shouldn't stop us from allowing the people to make good choices that are going to make good choices.
Right. I'm just saying there's a percentage of people who choose to live their life. They're comfort seekers. As long as they have a job.
You said though, Jane, only 2 of those things are legal. It's not legal to do drugs. It's legal to drink.
Well, I read an article on YouTube. Actually, I read an article and watched a video on YouTube. Did you know that the partnerships, the gambling casino establishment, it's not only the Indians reaping mass benefits, but there's a lot of partnerships in states where people's lives are going down the shithole, and the states are benefiting from all that money, and nobody's really doing anything to solve the social problems that come with gambling, like in Detroit, where they have 3 big casinos, and there were over 200 suicides a few years ago that were from gambling-related problems.
But you're forgetting the money. Nobody's following the money. All that money's being, not all, but a great deal of that money is being slushed into slush funds that are supposed to go into the lobbies. California has one of the most successful lottos in the country, and they can't even account for 24% of
where the money went. I know one of those lottos goes to the education budget in different communities.
You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised in my opinion on that. I think everyone should have the right to open. I think everyone should have the right to open their own casino. I don't think it should just be left up to Native Americans, because technically, if you're born here, we're all Native Americans. I don't know why we keep hanging on to special fishery rights and land rights and casinos and fireworks just for Native Indian Americans. It's
not a bad idea.
Well, I think there's a casino near Minneapolis that's not run by Indians. It's called Running Aces.
Right, and we only have one state that's legal, and that's Nevada. And all the other casinos are pretty much owned by natives. So if it was up to me, if I could change the law, I would say, sure, anyone can open their own casino. Then we'd be flooded with casinos, and nobody would want to go because there'd be so many.
It would be oversaturated.
Right.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Well,
yeah, I mean, if we all have freedom.
Okay, go ahead, guys.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
You guys, I have to run to the bathroom. We're going to close the show in 15 minutes, so start mentally preparing your conclusions. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah, well, the idea is, like, we shouldn't be arguing, like, who gets human rights, who gets freedom. Like, everybody should. So, you know, that should just solve the argument, right? Let's everybody get human rights and freedom and...
Kumbaya.
Sure.
Yeah. No reparations, no special treatment, no holding people back when they do well.
Reparations are only fair, Ben. That's only fair.
I ain't paying you because I didn't do anything to any of you or you yourself.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. But this is people, like I said, people from, you know, who came here from 1930 on. I don't blame them for shit. But everybody else who had to live through the worst Holocaust in the history of man, which was slavery, they deserve it, especially if the Chinese got it, you know, Japanese got it, Indian got their own land, and black people didn't get shit. But shit on
all kinds of stuff.
I thought there were reparations, and then the Democrats came to power.
Your finger. You can have whatever you can afford, Don.
After Lincoln, they did have reparations, right?
Me, I made pretty good money. I have no complaints.
Yeah. All right.
But I will not shy away from getting a lump sum of $50,000 so that I can say that, you know, I can start.
Who wouldn't?
I can start the African American Black Male Association.
I can tap into my roots too. I can go way back, Don. I can talk about my struggle as a Irish and Italian and Scottish immigrant. I can talk about the struggles that they went through in their country and have England have to pay me nowadays. You think that's going to go anywhere? Hell no. I don't victimize myself when I'm not a victim.
Yeah, but you go to the Queen, and you just ask her for 50,000 pounds, man. I do that. Go ahead
I guess you can always try, right? They can always say no.
Yeah, you can always say no.
Someone can ask me for 50,000, I'm going to say no. Well, I don't have 50,000, so that's not going very far.
You can always borrow. Goldman Sachs will lend that to you. Come on, Wade. Yeah.
Oh, no. I am not putting myself in debt for the rest of my life. Like, no. That's true. Maybe they would, but
humanity, Wade. It's for humanity.
I'll tell you what. How about this? I'll just devote my life to trying to make the world a better place.
Is that if it's worth $50,000? It's okay.
Okay.
Well, don't take any slaves because their great grandkids are going to be really pissed at you if you do.
And we're going to want.
I won't take slaves.
And we're going to want reparations.
Right.
How about I free people? I want to free people. That's
They're going
good.
to still want reparations. They're going to still want reparations. What are you talking about? People get soft.
I think we're all.
I can't do anything. I need money. I'm dealing with the voucher system, and I'm anti-voucher. We're looking at Betsy DeVos and her. I don't even know. She doesn't have a brain. She's just a name. But she's pushing these vouchers, and what the wealthy around here are calling them is wealthy welfare. You know, they're laughing at it. They're like, we're getting free money, and this is what the show was at the start, Ben, is wealthy welfare. Is that that's where you came in. You know, I'm saying 100% of all wealthy people got it from some kind of subsidy, either taxpayer or inheritance or something that.
Are you talking like Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, he did his the hard way. He begged everybody and their mama, and then
everybody and Obama. Is that what you said?
That too.
And their mama.
Everybody's mama
and Obama and Obama's mama.
And
Obama's mama. Right.
Yeah, and Obama's mama. Elon Musk did it right. You know, he hasn't made a profit in how many years? 0. And the man has got more irons and more fires. You know, he's out here taking equipment to Thailand to free the boys. Who's paying for that damn equipment? It's not Elon Musk.
He's a billionaire on credit, but it was a good media stunt.
Absolutely.
He's a genius. You can't expect him to be focused on one thing. He's a genius all across the board. His head is in the clouds. Literally, his head is in space. But if he sees a little disaster in Thailand,
who is he anyway?
He's gonna design something really fast and go fix that thing because it's the media hype right now. But what he really wants to do is colonize space, and he wants the credit for it.
Right.
And he doesn't
He's
have
our modern day Thomas Edison.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but see, he's got so many things at Hyperloop in Chicago. You know, he's got that thing going, and that's going to be state of the art. But
are they going to build it?
They're putting together an experimental loop right now, and they want to see if he's got to get the money, but he's Elon Musk. He'd get the money out of that. So the thing is that just somebody's got to design it and get it going, and he wants his fingerprint on the California Hyperloop. And
well, I would love to learn graphic design and work for Elon Musk because everything that makes him his billions is designed as a PowerPoint presentation. Every idea that he's got a room full of billionaires watching it on TV.
Oh yeah,
and they pay him
every day.
Yeah.
He's a terrible speaker. Have you ever seen him try to give a presentation? He sounds so nervous. It looks like he's going to cry.
Yeah. Well, so does Zuckerberg, but Zuckerberg he's gotten good at not crying. But
Zuckerberg, he's a robot.
Yep. That's what I mean. He's gotten over all of his nervousness, and he's just a plain robot. Good way of putting it.
Well, he's a globalist, and he knows exactly what Facebook is. They've done a big media campaign after their public scrutiny. They've done a big media campaign to try to make Facebook good again. But he knows what it was. It's CIA. It's hardware. It goes directly to NSA. It was a plan before it was really. He knows what he's doing.
And that's what I keep talking about regression being progress being regression. We think we're going into the 21st century high and mighty, and this stuff is going to come back and haunt us and essentially put us down, take us out. We're not going to be a viable human planet anymore, and that's because of our reliance on computers, instant data, instant gratification, and the desire to say one class is better than another.
Okay, that's a good conclusion. We're cutting the show out in 3 minutes. I'm going next. Ben, my son is going to Seattle on Wednesday with 5 friends, and he turns 20, you guys, all of you. on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him happy birthday.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to tell Wade that I mentioned to Lauren that Wade is on our show now, and he said that you were a positive, huge influence in his life.
Wow, that's awesome. That's nice. So, yeah, he's
he doesn't
is
mention
he still
people unless
McDonald's?
they had value.
Yeah, McDonald's manager. Is that last I heard?
Yeah, he's been there 4 years, a manager for 3, since he was
nice.
16.
I was so happy to hear that. I'm like, wow, good for him. Like, that's pretty good. I've never been a manager, so that's cool.
It's a stressful job.
I bet.
Ben, do you have any closing comments, or Wade?
Go ahead, Wade.
Okay, let's see. What do we talk about? So just like a summary, right? Like,
yeah, like what your major takeaways were?
Oh, yeah, we were talking about the federalism versus anti-federalism. You know, I want to see, like, earthships everywhere people can have all their needs met at their home. It can be done. And that way we don't need centralized authority because everybody has what they need, so we can just voluntarily agree or not work together. We have the choice, and then we don't have to fight over things, and that would be nice. I think the more we all have to agree and work together, the more we're going to argue and fight. And it's nice if people can have what they want, you know. So, like, you go to a restaurant and you get to order off the menu and you get what you want. You don't have to vote on what everybody's going to get. And so I think that was a big theme.
Though? What if you isolate so much you're no longer part of a society?
Well, yeah, hopefully, I mean, you know, loving people will try to bring people in, but people can choose to isolate themselves, and I think that should be an option. And also, you know, if you feel alone and you want to be a part, people can take the initiative. I think when we try to force things on people, I observed this with kids in school. You know, I've worked a lot as a substitute teacher, and I thought, why is it like a lot of times when I'm trying to run the class and work as a group, the kids are like a mess, and then they get free time and they're all just like calmly doing their own thing. You know, not always the case, but
I
like
agree.
You know, people do better when they can just do their own thing and they don't have to all do something. You know, you can work with the people you want to work with, and so yeah, I'm a bit of an anti-federalist. I like Thomas Jefferson and those guys. And what were we? Oh, we were talking about. And so I'm not a big fan of globalism. You know, nationalism's better, but also like individualism is much better than nationalism. So that's what I want to see. Just everybody's human rights respected and freedom and as far as meritocracy, Ben was talking about, like, yeah, like that should be like everybody live up to their potential, everybody, you know. And if you've got 15 guys that want to program computers and 5 women, you don't kick out 10 of the guys and say we need 50-50. No, let's hope that all of them, all 5 of those women, all 15 of those guys, they all get to be great programmers, because we want everybody to succeed and be amazing and awesome and make the world a better place. So I think that's probably enough. I shouldn't go on too long. Thank you.
That was some awesome comments. Ben, can you
Thank you.
throw in your last few comments?
I agree 100% with the last part of that. I've seen there's statistics on what people actually choose to do when the choice is left up to them, and there's categories. Men and women tend to choose different things than each other. There's women tend to choose careers in jobs that are more social on average. Men tend to choose jobs that are more labor-intensive, stressful, and things like that, just by nature. We don't really need help being diverted into one way or the other. As far as the libertarian views, I used to be, well, I still am pretty libertarian, where I don't really want people affecting my choices in my day-to-day life, but I kind of realized over the last few years that you can isolate yourself from the chaos that's going on, but if you decide to come back to society that you isolated yourself from, it might be gone because there's so many people that are groupthink minded, and people move in herds more now than I've ever seen. And there's kind of a battle going on between the group and the individual. And the group will dictate what the individual does with their life if enough people abandon the fight. And I've kind of been watching what's going on. And libertarian is ideal, but if everybody just walks away and lets the group dictate everything, there won't be an individual left. You won't have a choice.
Oh, yeah. Well said.
I guess that's what I argue for now. Fighting the groupthink for my own rights, basically inalienable rights.
Then you better eliminate the internet, because a lot of the groupthink is created on there.
That's true, and college campuses, and parties, political parties and campaigns and stuff like that. Everything is designed to move masses. But it's the individual that's going to stand up and remind people, hey, what you're doing is going to eliminate the rights of this individual here. And people need to remind groups that what they're doing is going to hurt one person.
That's true, and I could talk about my thread on Facebook that I put up and all the different arguments, but I ran out of steam, so I'll save it for another night. With that, we're going to end the show. Next week I'm talking about a radio host named Joe Crummy, Crummy, that I pissed off tonight on the West Coast, and he blocked me on Facebook, and I looked on his Twitter account, and he has 800 followers, and I have 1,400. So, Joe Crummy, you can stay in your crummy world.
I'm sure he's never heard a joke about that name.
He's kind of a piece of work, but he did enlighten me a few weeks ago by telling me Louis Farrakhan was anti-Jewish, which I never knew. But he chose to follow me because I have two radio friends, Doug McIntyre and John Phillips, and the dumb bastard chose to follow me, and then he gets pissed off if I wrote something very frank and subtle on his page, saying that most people who post on his wall are divisive, and he ended up blocking me just for that. So that's pretty bad. Either way, I'm hungry and I want to eat, so good night, y'all.
All right, good night. See everybody.
Oh, I have an assignment for all the radio hosts. Like Don was talking about his Russian neighbor, try to find one person in your neighborhood or community that you kind of know casually and find out more about them. Okay? That's our subcultural experiment for next week.
Nah.
Whatever, Ben. I'll talk to you all later. I'm playing one of John's songs. Good night. I'm playing one of his songs. Good night.
Good night.